Alright boys, what's going on? So we're here on Supercross 25 in the track editor. And I was messing around with this for the last couple hours. I made a track. And I can say that this is probably the worst track editor in the entire series. And in this video I'm going to show you guys why they completely messed this track editor up and everything that's wrong with it in this video. And some glaring issues that Milestone should definitely fix with it sometime in the future, hopefully. So starting off, we only have 4 arenas to choose from this time. We have an outdoor rectangular stadium, indoor rectangular stadium, outdoor diamond, indoor diamond. In the previous games, we would have 1 small diamond stadium and 1 large diamond stadium, indoors and outdoors. And the same thing for the rectangular stadiums, 1 small, 1 large. But in this game, I'm not too sure if it's large or small. I'm going to guess large because I think most people would use these in the previous games. So starting off, you're already missing a good amount of stadiums, which is not the end of the world, but it is something to note. As I'm editing this, I forgot to mention that you can no longer change the texture of the track like you could in Supercross 6. So it's always just one color track. You can't make it a red clay anymore, or a light sand looking texture, or a dark brown ass dirt. They took that out in this game. I don't know why, but I forgot to mention that in this video. So let's just pick Outdoor Diamond Stadium, and then it takes a second to load here. And so here's a start that I already made in my last track off camera, so that's cool that they save. You get 10 custom starts, which is cool, I guess. So yes, you can make your own start, which is cool. It's been in the last however many games. One thing you'll notice, there is no pre-made starts anymore. They took those out, so you know how there would be starts with huge berms, or they were just different varieties you could like presets you could choose from. Those are no longer in the game. I don't know why they took those out. Not the end of the world, of course, because you can make your custom start, but I'm going to show you why that is a problem. You'll notice there is no selection screen, so you can't exactly see what model you are choosing anymore, which is, I'm going to get into that more in a few minutes, but it is a horrible menu navigation system, and I'll explain that again in a few minutes. Transition straight, let's just say transition curve, whole shot, you have a few to choose from. So you got to click down on the right stick to save it. It's kind of confusing, this track editor. It took me like a couple seconds to figure out how to save a start. So you click down on the right stick, enter the start name. We'll just name it test for now. So here's the start. You have your zoomed out camera and your zoomed in camera. So right away you'll notice the menu looks a little different, how you select stuff. Instead of all being in one column down the side, it's kind of along the bottom and you scroll through it. I don't mind that per se, it's not too bad. So let's just say we want to put a jump right away, right? You have jumps, asymmetric jump, half jump, ramps, landing, all that stuff. So you click on jump. You think you'd have more to select from, right? But you don't. So here's what's going on. So now you no longer have a bunch of images of the jumps to choose from. You make it yourself, but at the same time you don't. So if you look on the right there, if you use right and left on the D-pad, it raises the height of the jump. And if you use your left joystick and move up and down, it kind of makes the landing a little shorter or longer depending on what you do. Click left puts it to sand. You still can't change the directions of jumps like you could in Supercross 1 and 2. I don't know why they took that out years ago. Haven't brought it back. Just had to point that out quick. So you might think, oh yeah, that's cool. I can change the height of my jumps. But the thing is, these are all the same models that were in previous games. So yes, it may seem like you're adjusting the height and the distance of the jump by moving up and down on the joysticks and your D-pad. All this really is, you are just selecting pre-made jumps that were in the previous games. But in this game, you don't get to see which one you're choosing from a picture. You're essentially guessing, because in previous games, you would have a menu and all the jumps would be on that page and you could see which one you were choosing. It would be easy to tell which ones were the same and different. But now, it is a bit more difficult to tell. Again, these are all the same models that were in previous games. They just made it essentially more difficult and confusing for the player to make tracks. I don't necessarily think that each jump needs its own separate category. I think the reason why they did that, again, is because you adjust the jump yourself instead of looking through pictures and choosing. So I don't know, we'll just put a triple here, okay. You can adjust the height. It is very confusing at first. I have gotten a little bit used to it slightly, but the main problem with it is you don't know which jumps are the same and different, and it just becomes very confusing. So we'll make a triple here. We'll just kind of do that. And then let's get a landing. Again, you make the height different. And we're kind of running into the start straight there, so let's go to the bends here. Here's where the huge, major issue comes in with this game. So you hit bends, you press Y to change the direction. It's a little confusing at first. Again, up and down on the stick to increase the turn. The D-pad makes it like a really short bend. But you'll notice, go to banking bends, those are all of your turns. So they completely got rid of a bunch of berms in the corners for track editor. I don't know why they did that. And you may think, oh, well, we have a 180 bend. That can't be that bad. But the problem is, so let's just delete that. Again, let's go to your these turns here. Let's say you want to make like a 90-degree corner with a berm. You can't. You want to make like a 75-degree corner with a berm. You can't. You cannot make a 45-degree corner with a berm. And even the 180 corner does not have a berm. It might kind of look like it does. But let's place it and show you guys how crap this model looks. Try track. But let's show you guys how small this corner is, because the triple's actually not bad. But here is your banked corner. There is no berm whatsoever in that corner, okay? This is the best berm you got in the track editor. I don't know why they would take the other ones out. I'm going to assume it's because of the terrain deformation, quote-unquote, that they have in this game. It just would not work with the previous models. And that just pisses me off because there's already berms on the normal tracks. But in track editor, they completely took out every single berm for corners. So every corner on track editor is essentially going to be flat. And the huge issue with that, you might think, oh, well, there's terrain deformation in this game. It can't be that bad. I did a medium length race, like 10 minutes, main event. And here's the first lap of some corners on my custom track. And, you know, like they look flat as shit, right? And then skip to the end of the race in the last lap. Look, they just look the exact same. There's like hardly, I think there's like zero terrain deformation on custom tracks. It only seems to be on like the tracks Milestone made. On custom tracks, there is like next to zero deformation or anything. It is a joke. Now, another huge issue, and I think this is a bug that could be fixed, but it is so frustrating. So I'm going to show you guys. So you know how when you go off a track in a race and it slows you down, right? It now does that in track editor when the track's not even finished. Now, that doesn't sound like a huge issue, right? But the problem is, when you go back onto the track, watch how long it takes for it to register me. See this? I'm fully hitting down my throttle, and it won't let me get up to full speed. It just won't. If you go off the track long enough, it essentially thinks you're permanently off the track, and it just is a nightmare. So if you want to fix it, you got to go back to the track editor, and then you got to go back to try the track, and that takes a good 10 seconds at least, 15 seconds. So yeah, now my thing's fixed. But again, if I go off the track a little bit, it slows me down. But if you get back on the track really quick, it will let you get back up to speed sometimes. Oh, my controller just died. That's great. Hang on a sec, boys. So again, I'll show you guys. Let's say you have a whole track made. You want to go off the track and cut to the section. You're going to go slow. And we'll get back on the track here. So you can see sometimes it does let you get back up to speed. Then other times it really doesn't. So there are, I believe, 2 new like jump models in this game or whatever. The one here is step up table. I don't think this was in Supercross 6. It's actually a pretty good jump. You can't turn it backwards and stuff. Again, it's super annoying. And then you have a wall jump, which I don't think was in Supercross 6. So these are the 2 new selections here. You only have 1 dragon back to choose from. You might be able to make your own, kind of, I guess. So yeah, not too much things there. And then if you go to extra, they took out one of the pool sizes. I think there was a smaller one or a bigger one. I can't remember exactly. That's gone now. You still have the climb, the U-bend, and the bleachers. And then the bridge jump, for whatever reason, there's like a tarp on it. I don't know if that's how it is in real life. I'm going to just throw a picture on screen right now just to see if this model is completely wrong or if it actually is like that. Because it looks like a black tarp, so I don't know why it's like that. This is 2025 Indianapolis, and yeah, they got the over-under jumps completely wrong. And your finish line, you can actually make the run-up short again, but you only have 2 heights to choose from. You have this one and this one. In previous games, you'd have like 3 or 4 different ramps to choose from with the finish line. I remember in the last couple games, you could not have a finish line with a short run-up. It was super annoying. But now that's back. But again, you only have 2 heights to choose from. Again, it feels like they take 2 steps forward and then a million steps back with things they change. Okay, so here is the track that I like fully made. Took me like an hour and a half, 2 hours, like I don't remember exactly. The main issue here is when you finish making like a rhythm section, it actually knows that it's a rhythm section. The problem is you can't actually edit that section. Let's say I don't like the entry to this and I want to put a different jump there. You cannot do that. And if you want to go like halfway through this rhythm section and change something, you can't do that. You have to go to the end of your track and fully delete everything to get to it. In this rhythm section, I put a bunch of tiny little straights like you would do in the other games so that you could adjust jumps, distances, and stuff like that. But once you're done with this rhythm section, it knows it's a rhythm section, and you can no longer go back and edit it without fully deleting your entire track to get to this section. So again, I had the problem where these whoops here, I thought they were too big and I wanted to fix them, but I was already a couple sections ahead, and I could actually not go back and edit these whoops because for whatever reason, you can't add a little short straightaway. Each section is classified as a rhythm section, and you can no longer edit it. Like see this triple here in this corner. I can't edit this section. Again, I have to go to the very end and delete my track and go back. It looks like right here it actually will let me put something different, but that is a huge glaring issue. So you have to take your sweet ass time making tracks and making sure each section is perfect before you move on. In previous games, you could change stuff after the track was made, but in this game, you just can't. So again, like let's say I want to adjust this first section here. I have to delete my entire track to get to that, which is just a complete nightmare to deal with. And combined with the fact that you can't tell exactly which jump you're putting down, you don't remember which one you might have had put down, it becomes a nightmare to make rhythm sections and edit them. For whatever reason, you have to change the height to get the bigger berm. Like it's a very confusing system, and like I'm already a little retarded, right? But I think the average person is gonna have a nightmare making tracks. Like the previous track editors they had were decent, and in this game, for whatever reason, they just made it confusing and they took out a lot of shit. I don't know why. So now you're testing your track, right? You're gonna see if the section works. Obviously, this is just a quick example. That's not a very good section, right? And again, look at how shit this banked corner is, dude. So then you want to go. Let's say you want to change the first jump, right? Go back to track editor. Let's say I want to change this first jump here, right? Because I'm not a huge fan of the jump before the tabletop. Again, I have to delete this entire section in order to edit that. And I can't add in a little or a small straight halfway through because look, see on the left-hand side, it classifies that as a rhythm section. And now I can no longer edit any part of that section unless I fully delete the whole entire section to get to the first jump. So those are the main glaring issues with the track editor. You can still make decent tracks, of course. Like, it's all the same models we had before. But as of right now, this is the worst track editor in the entire series. I can't believe I'm saying that. 7 Supercross games, and they still can barely improve the track editor, or they make it worse. It's laughable. So that's the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed, and as always, take care.